What unfolds when the head of a modest coffee chain steps into one of his establishments incognito and overhears the manager treating a barista poorly? Mark Hayes found himself uncertain about when emotions had begun to surface. Disabled. His coffee chain, a labor of love that had expanded to 12 locations, had experienced an increase in customer complaints in recent months. Feedback highlighted unprofessional staff, sluggish service, and a decline in quality. Yet whenever Mark inquired with his district managers, they dismissed it without a second thought. Only a handful of unfortunate days, they would claim. Yet the persistent sensation lingered on. Driven by a desire to uncover the truth, Mark resolved to go incognito. He exchanged his meticulously crafted suits for a casual hoodie, jeans, and a baseball cap. With a pseudonym and an obscure email address, he submitted an application for a barista trainee role at one of his outlets situated in a bustling downtown locale. It was a shop he had never set foot in. He relied on his team to manage operations and had yet to personally meet the majority of the staff, merely recognizing them as names on payroll reports. His transformation was so remarkable that even if someone had encountered him in a company-wide meeting years ago, they wouldn't recognize the connection. The instant he stepped into the shop, the atmosphere was charged. Customers formed a line that stretched to the door, yet the atmosphere behind the counter was a whirlwind of activity. A middle-aged manager issued commands, her tone crisp and demanding. "Hurry up, Mia. The line won't take care of itself." She barked at a young barista who seemed barely out of their teens. Mark's introduction to the team lacked warmth. The manager, introducing herself as Denise, hardly lifted her gaze from the clipboard. "You're the newcomer, all right, you'll be following Mia, just don't screw it up." There was neither a smile nor a greeting. He acknowledged with a subtle nod, maintaining his facade. As the hours unfolded, Mark became aware of the fissures. Mia, the dedicated barista, poured her heart into her work, skillfully juggling drink orders, addressing customer concerns, and maintaining a tidy workspace. Denise, in contrast, mostly lingered, issuing corrections and offering ambiguous guidance but seldom intervening to assist. At one moment, when a customer inquired about the delay of their drink, Denise shifted the blame onto Mia. "I apologize for that. Someone here is struggling to keep pace," she declared, her voice carrying across the entire counter. Mia's cheeks flushed, yet she maintained her focus, keeping her gaze lowered as she continued her task. Mark bit his tongue, his jaw clenched in tension. He kept reminding himself of his purpose for being here, to observe and to understand. Yet, with each hour that ticked by, his frustration mounted. Denise's behavior was not merely unkind. It was profoundly demoralizing. She scolded a fellow barista for neglecting to replenish the pastry case, then vanished into the back office for almost half an hour as the line spiraled out of control. As the shift drew to a close, Mark had witnessed enough to realize that something was profoundly amiss. However, it was only the following morning that everything reached its climax. Mark showed up ahead of time, seizing a mop to assist in tidying up before the store's doors opened. Mia was already present, getting the espresso machines ready. Her smile was subtle as he entered, clearly worn out. "You're ahead of schedule," she remarked. Before he could respond, Denise burst in, her expression contorted with annoyance. "Mia, what on earth is this?" she snapped, brandishing a receipt. Mia stood still, caught in the moment. "What seems to be the issue? You took a drink last night without asking me first. That's stealing," Denise snapped. Mark felt a heavy weight in his stomach. He had witnessed the exchange that Denise was talking about. An esteemed patron, a senior lady, had inadvertently spilled her coffee, and Mia promptly volunteered to prepare a new one at no charge. It was a modest, thoughtful act. Mia whispered, "She spilled it. She wasn't to blame. I have no interest in that. Such decisions aren't made in that manner. Your purpose isn't to be friendly. It's to adhere to the guidelines. Are you able to comprehend what I'm saying?" Denise's voice began to ascend, drawing the attention of a few early patrons from the entrance. "Mia lip quivered. I was merely attempting to assist in preserving it," Denise retorted sharply. Another slip-up and you're gone. Mark reached his breaking point. His grip on the mop handle grew firmer as he wrestled with his next move. This was not merely poor management. It was a toxic environment. Denise wasn't fostering collaboration. She was undermining others. He inhaled deeply and resolved to hold off, at least for the moment. Yet he was certain of one thing. This was far from finished. Mark held off until the shift concluded before determining his next course of action. Denise's outburst had left the team in a state of disarray, particularly Mia, who had hardly uttered a word for the remainder of the morning. With the morning rush fading, Denise once more sought refuge in the office, leaving Mark and the other baristas to manage the counter on their own. Mark observed Mia intently. She moved swiftly, with purpose, yet there was a weight to her, as if she were preparing for the next impact. Customers beamed at her, yet she hardly glanced their way. It was only during Denise's lunch break, when she stepped out of the store, that Mark recognized a chance to probe further. The atmosphere behind the counter lightened significantly as soon as Denise left. Mia rested against the sink, releasing a sigh as if she had been holding her breath since dawn. "Are you doing well?" Mark inquired nonchalantly, cleaning the surface of the counter. Mia nodded, her gaze fixed downward. Indeed. Worn out, Mark paused for a moment. If he pressed too aggressively, he might jeopardize his disguise. He spoke cautiously, describing her as quite intense. Mia released a sardonic chuckle. That's one way to put it. She surveyed the store, ensuring no one was eavesdropping, then spoke in a hushed tone. "Truly, it feels like this on a daily basis. You gradually adapt to it, in a way." Mark placed the rag aside and rested against the counter. "What keeps you here?" Mia shrugged, her voice barely above a whisper. "I require the position. My mom has been unwell, so I'm stepping in to assist with the bills, and I'm feeling uncertain. I suppose I continue to wish for improvement." She offered a faint, weary smile. "Perhaps that's not the best idea." "It's not foolish," Mark asserted with conviction. He yearned to express further thoughts, yet he held back. Instead, he gestured towards the espresso machine. "Your skills are truly impressive, I must say. I have been observing." Mia's eyes grew large, and a delicate flush colored her cheeks. "Oh, I appreciate that. I do my best." Just as Mark was about to speak again, the door chimed, and Denise re-entered the room. As soon as her gaze fell upon the team, the ambience transformed once more. She snapped at a fellow barista for neglecting to refill the milk jugs, then vanished into the office without a word. Mark tightened his jaw. He had observed enough to understand that Denise's actions weren't merely a fleeting moment of frustration. They were part of a recurring theme. Nevertheless, he required additional context prior to proceeding with any actions. The following morning, Mark showed up even earlier than his usual time and discovered Mia at a corner table, enjoying a cup of tea. Her gaze shot up in astonishment as he entered the room. "You've arrived quite early," she remarked. Mark beamed with delight. "Rest eluded me. Is it all right if I take a seat?" Mia paused for a moment, then gave a slight nod. For the next 30 minutes, they engaged in conversation. With patience and precision, Mark gently drew out more details from her. She recounted how Denise had managed the store for 5 years, noting the staggering turnover rate that left most new hires unable to stay beyond a month. She pointed out that Denise seldom intervened during busy times and consistently claimed the team's efforts as her own when the district manager was around. Mia expressed her frustration, saying, "She always claims it's her store, and we're just here to make her shine. It's unjust, yet what options remain?" Mark's jaw clenched. He was fully aware of his capabilities. As the week drew to a close, Mark had gathered ample insight to reach his conclusion. After the store closed on Friday, he convened a meeting. Denise, visibly frustrated by the late hours, leaned against the counter with her arms crossed. The remaining members of the team, Mia and 2 other baristas, stood in silence, sharing anxious looks. "What's going on here?" Denise inquired, her tone cutting. Mark inhaled deeply and moved ahead with determination. He removed his baseball cap, raking his fingers through his hair. This narrative revolves around the management and operations of the store. Denise scowled. What do you mean by that? Mark glanced at the team before turning his gaze back to Denise. I am more than a novice. I am Mark Hayes. I hold the position of CEO at this company. The atmosphere became still. Denise's complexion drained of color, her mouth falling open just a bit. The baristas shared bewildered glances. Their jaws dropped in disbelief. You can't be serious, Denise murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. I'm not, Mark asserted with conviction. He faced the team. I arrived here to witness firsthand what was unfolding in my stores. And now I possess it. Denise began to speak, but Mark raised a hand to interrupt her. I have observed your interactions with this team, noting how you diminish their efforts and how you consistently avoid contributing your fair share. It's simply intolerable. Denise's cheeks burned with embarrassment. Hold on a second. No, you wait. Mark interjected, his tone unwavering yet authoritative. This does not exemplify true leadership. This is an act of intimidation. And it concludes here. He faced the baristas. Mia, you've been the backbone of this team. Your dedication has certainly been recognized, and I regret that you've had to face this situation. Beginning Monday, you will be elevated to the position of shift lead, accompanied by a salary increase. Mia's eyes grew large with surprise. Excuse me? Is this for real? Mark gave a slight nod. You deserve it. He then shifted his gaze back to Denise. Your employment is hereby terminated, effective immediately. Your final paycheck will be provided, but your presence is no longer desired here. Denise gasped, her hands balling into tight fists. You can't simply, I can, Mark replied with a steady voice, and I am. Denise burst out, leaving no room for further discussion, and slammed the door with finality. Mark faced the team once more. I understand that the atmosphere has been challenging, but the transformation is beginning at this moment. I will collaborate with each of you to ensure that this store, along with every other store, transforms into a desirable workplace for everyone. The baristas shared a look filled with anticipation, and Mia offered him a subtle, appreciative smile. After days of uncertainty, Mark sensed a shift, as if he was finally on the path to redemption. Following the intense meeting, Mark lingered with Mia and the other baristas to discuss the immediate next steps. Initially, they were reluctant, grappling with the unexpected shift in circumstances. Yet as Mark articulated his thoughts, their defenses started to crumble. I understand that trust isn't built in a day, he remarked, his voice steady yet determined. However, I have a responsibility to you to set things straight. Enough with the hollow assurances. If you have thoughts, recommendations, or simply need to express something, I'm all ears. This is your opportunity to speak your truth. The initial silence weighed down on the room, but soon, a young barista named Jared broke the stillness with his voice. Honestly, it's been quite challenging to feel invested, you know? Your hard work seems to go unnoticed, leaving you with a sense of futility. Denise has completely drained the energy from this place. Mia nodded in affirmation, her voice barely above a whisper. No matter the effort put forth, it always felt insufficient. Whenever customers expressed their dissatisfaction, it often seemed as though we bore the blame, regardless of the circumstances. Mark absorbed every word, scribbling notes in a tiny notepad he had retrieved from his pocket. That will be different from this moment forward, he vowed. We're going to bring in someone who understands how to inspire, not merely oversee. I'll be checking in regularly, not as an overseer, but as someone eager to offer support. As they secured the doors for the evening, the atmosphere had transformed. Amidst the lingering uncertainty, a glimmer of hope emerged for the first time in what felt like ages. The following morning, Mark sat down with his district manager, a keen yet stretched-thin woman named Carla, who managed all 12 stores. He detailed all that he had witnessed and accomplished, surprising her in the process. Mark, Carla remarked, shaking her head. I had no idea it was so severe. Denise consistently achieved her targets, and the store's performance appeared satisfactory in reports. Mark leaned in, his tone resolute. The figures alone can't capture the entire narrative, Carla. The atmosphere in that store is detrimental, and it falls upon us to address it. I need you to locate a manager who excels in operations and genuinely values the individuals on the team." Carla nodded, her demeanor grave. "I will tackle it today. I will conduct a thorough exploration of the other stores to ensure we aren't overlooking anything similar in those locations." "Excellent," Mark remarked. "I refuse to allow this to occur once more." Throughout the following week, Mark remained deeply engaged with the downtown store. He briefly took on additional shifts, collaborating with the team and gaining insight into the daily operations. Managing the morning rush proved to be a lesson in orchestrating chaos, filled with missteps, from awkwardly handling drink orders to inadvertently toppling a tray of milk cartons. "You're improving," Mia teased one afternoon, observing him grapple with the aftermath of his latest blunder. "Still not ideal," Mark chuckled, cleaning milk from his shoes. "I'll focus on managing the company. This section is under your control." The cheerful scene stood in sharp relief to the anxiety that had permeated the store only days before. The group was beginning to harmonize, and Mark noticed the change in their collaborative efforts. Jared took the initiative as a guiding presence, assisting in the training of a newcomer who had recently come on board. Mia, having stepped into her role as shift lead, was starting to assert herself, skillfully delegating tasks and engaging with her colleagues. However, not everything unfolded without a hitch. A customer, accustomed to the special attention he received under Denise's management, entered with a clear sense of irritation, feeling that his typical VIP experience was not being honored. "Where is Denise?" the man insisted, his eyes fixed on Mia with intensity. "She consistently offered me a complimentary refill. This is absurd." Mia paused, casting a look at Mark for direction. Mark advanced, maintaining a demeanor that was courteous yet resolute. "Thank you for your understanding, sir. We have established policies that we must adhere to. If you wish to discuss your concerns with someone in a higher position, I would be glad to assist you." The man exhaled sharply but ultimately departed, grumbling quietly to himself. Mia gazed at Mark, her sense of relief unmistakable. "I appreciate that. I was uncertain about how to approach him." "You managed it flawlessly," Mark remarked. "There's no need to go out of your way for those who exploit the system. Simply strive for fairness, and all will turn out well." The moment held significance for Mia, and Mark quietly resolved to recognize it at a later time. By the conclusion of the second week, Carla had discovered a new store manager named Lisa, whom she characterized as firm yet fair, and exceptional with people. On a crisp Monday morning, Lisa stepped into her first shift, where Mark warmly welcomed her and introduced her to the team. "Greetings, everyone," Lisa remarked, her tone inviting yet polished. "I understand that change can be challenging, but I'm committed to supporting you and creating an environment where everyone feels motivated to contribute. If you ever have any thoughts or worries, feel free to reach out to me anytime." The team appeared to carry a sense of hopeful anticipation, while Mark lingered to watch Lisa navigate the bustling morning crowd. She stepped in as necessary, assisting Mia in perfecting her drink-making technique and demonstrating to Jared a quicker method for replenishing the pastry display. Later, Mark took a moment to speak privately with Lisa. "You're making excellent progress," he remarked. Lisa beamed with joy. "Thank you. The team is impressive. All they required was a single person to have faith in them." As the weeks progressed, the transformations grew increasingly noticeable. Customer complaints decreased, employee turnover stabilized, and the store's performance started to enhance. Mark fulfilled his commitment to stay in touch, frequently dropping by unexpectedly to engage with the team and assess the progress. One afternoon, while he lingered in the corner with a latte in hand, Mia came over, her smile tinged with shyness. "Hey, Mark. I just wanted to express my gratitude for everything you've done. It's been quite a while since I've genuinely anticipated my arrival at the office." Mark returned the smile. "This is well-deserved, Mia. I just provided you with the opportunity to demonstrate it." As he exited the store that day, Mark experienced a wave of pride that had eluded him for quite some time. The journey to remedying the company was far from complete, yet for the first time, he felt assured he was heading in the right direction. 2 months later, Mark found himself outside the downtown coffee shop, the early morning chill nipping at his face. He was absent from overseeing operations this time. Today, he was present as a patron. Under Lisa's leadership, the store had been operating for several weeks, and Mark was eager to discover whether the changes they had diligently put in place had genuinely taken hold in his absence. The chime of the bell echoed softly as he entered the room. The shop radiated an entirely distinct vibe compared to the initial day he had entered incognito. The atmosphere was cozy and welcoming. The crew at the counter flowed seamlessly, exchanging smiles and light banter with patrons while they went about their tasks. The queue stretched on, yet everyone appeared calm and unbothered. From his position by the door, Mark sensed the change in the atmosphere. It resonated with a pulse of vitality. Lisa stood at the counter, sleeves rolled up, assisting Mia in preparing the morning pastries. Jared manned the register, exchanging playful banter with a customer while processing their order. Mark joined the queue, adjusting his scarf to offer a bit more protection to his face. Even though his cover had been compromised weeks earlier, he urged the team to maintain their composure, as if they were not under scrutiny. Upon arriving at the counter, Jared looked up and smiled broadly. "Hello. What can I assist you with today?" Mark returned the smile. "I'll have a cappuccino, please." "Coming right up," Jared said, tapping the order into the register. "You've got good timing. Mia's been nailing her latte art lately. You might get a masterpiece," Mark chuckled, handing over his card. Looking forward to it, he stepped to the side to wait, watching as Mia worked the espresso machine with confident precision. Lisa stood beside her, offering quiet encouragement as Mia poured the steamed milk into the cup. A delicate Rosetta design bloomed across the surface of the cappuccino, and Mia's face lit up with pride. "Order 4, a cappuccino guy," Mia called out, her voice playful. Mark stepped forward, taking the cup with a smile. "Looks perfect, thanks, Mia." Her eyes widened slightly as she recognized him. "Oh, Mr. Hayes. I didn't realize it was you." "Just Mark," he said, laughing, "and don't worry. I'm here as a customer today." Lisa approached, wiping her hands on a towel. "Mark, good to see you. What do you think?" Mark took a sip of the cappuccino, savoring the rich, velvety flavor. "It's fantastic, but even more than that, the store feels right." "You've done an amazing job, Lisa." Lisa smiled, glancing back at her team. "It's not just me. Everyone here stepped up. They've made this place what it is." Mia and Jared exchanged proud smiles, and Mark felt a swell of gratitude. But before he could respond, the door jingled and a man in a suit entered, his expression harried. He strode to the counter, cutting the line entirely. "Excuse me," he said sharply. "I'm in a hurry. Can someone take my order?" The cheerful atmosphere dimmed slightly as the man's impatient tone cut through the room. Jared hesitated, glancing at Lisa for guidance. Lisa stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "I'd be happy to help you, sir, but we do have a line. If you'd like to step to the back, we'll get to you as quickly as possible." The man's face darkened. "I don't have time for this. Do you know who I am?" "I'm a regular here." Mark set his cup down, his jaw tightening. He wasn't about to let someone bully his team, not after everything they'd been through. "Sir," Mark said, stepping forward. "I understand you're in a rush, but Lisa is right. Everyone here deserves the same respect, and that includes waiting your turn." The man turned to Mark, clearly ready to argue, but the words seemed to die on his lips as recognition flickered across his face. "Wait, aren't you?" "Yes," Mark said, his tone even, "and I'd appreciate it if you treated my team with the same courtesy you'd expect for yourself." The man paled, his bravado crumbling. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cause trouble." Lisa nodded toward the line. "We'll be happy to help you once it's your turn." The man stepped to the back of the line without another word, and the tension in the room eased. Jared shot Mark a grateful look, and Mia's shoulders relaxed as she returned to the espresso machine. As the day went on, Mark stayed to observe quietly from his corner table. He watched as Jared handled a complicated order with ease, as Mia chatted with a customer about their favorite coffee blends, and as Lisa guided a new trainee through her first shift. The team wasn't just functioning, they were thriving. Before leaving, Mark called the team together. "I just wanted to say how proud I am of all of you," he began. "This store has completely turned around because of your hard work and dedication. You've proven that when people are supported and treated with respect, they can accomplish amazing things." He reached into his pocket, pulling out a small stack of envelopes. "I have a small gift for every one of you. Think of it as a gesture of gratitude for everything you've accomplished." Mia's eyes grew large as she peeled open her envelope, uncovering a bonus check along with a personal note from Mark. "This is incredible. Thank you so much," Jared beamed. "Looks like I can finally say goodbye to my ramen dinner routine." Lisa chuckled, a smile playing on her lips as she shook her head in disbelief. "This wasn't necessary, Mark, yet." "Thank you," Mark said with a smile, surveying the team that had journeyed so far together. "You deserve this, and it's only the start of your journey. We will continue to develop this collaboratively." As he exited the store, the bell chiming softly in his wake, Mark experienced a profound sense of satisfaction. He had arrived incognito to address an issue, yet what he discovered was something infinitely more precious, a rekindling of the passion that had ignited his journey in this venture. It transcended mere coffee. It revolved around individuals, and now he understood that the sense of purpose was more powerful than ever before.